Salarah Starre is a UK-based advanced law of attraction teacher trainer, coach, public speaker, and leading wellness expert. She will share life-changing wisdom about the law of attraction and how you can use this powerful universal law to build a foundation for bigger and bolder manifesting results. It is time to create the life you deserve, and with Salarah's help, you will.
And a very warm welcome to Manifesting Made Easy with myself, Salarah Starre. Today we are going to be exploring something very important when it comes to the law of attraction, but it's all about magnetism. It's all about effortless magnetism, and how do we reach a space of effortless magnetism where we attract everything we want and everything that we desire, and we don't have to wear ourselves out in the process. So today is all about how saying no to what doesn't align for you is actually saying yes to the next level of your life. So this episode is all about alignment. It's all about energy. Of course, we understand, and I say this in most of my episodes because I love it so much, feeling first, manifestation second. So it is all about the energy of how we feel, which then determines the results and the outcomes we get in our manifestation. This is all about having the courage to say no when something dims your light, when something leaves you feeling contracted, a bit off par, because every time you say no to something that contracts your energy, you're creating space for something that expands you. And so many of us crave the next level of our manifestations. We crave more success. We crave healthier and deeper connections in our relationships. We crave true fulfillment, that feeling of peace and joy within. But here's a truth that I've discovered. If the next version of us lived exactly the way our current one does, then of course we wouldn't need this transformation. We wouldn't need to listen to episodes like this and read the books and watch the YouTube videos we watch. So growth does require change. It's if you always do what you've always done, you're going to always get what you've always got conversation. And the only thing that will ever change your life is you. So expansion to the level that you want to get to. This requires energetic congruency. It means saying yes when you mean yes. It means saying no when you mean no. And I'll go into more of that as we go on through the show. But the magnetism that you want, or the magnetism that you need to get to your next level, it requires for you to be more in alignment with who you really are and not what life has made you become. So this is about becoming the man or the woman who no longer abandons themselves just to be liked, just to be picked, just to be included, just to be successful. Of course, a lot of those are created from lack of worthiness, low self-esteem desires. We need the world to see us. We need a certain level of success for us to feel good about ourselves. And as much as I can understand that, because I've lived a lot of my life in the same way, coming from fear, it's never got me the results that I want. I've needed to do a lot of work on my boundaries, my communication, my self-esteem, so that I can come to my manifestation practice with a clean energy and get the results that I want. So this is all about learning to live from your yes frequency. And that often starts with the courageous, soul-led, and sometimes scary no. And this is why I believe that no is actually the new yes in our manifestation practice. So this episode is for you if you've ever agreed to something that's just made your body contract and scream no, but you've noticed your mouth saying yes, and you're trying to think of every excuse under the sun to get out of a commitment you don't really want to do. And then when you come up with a million excuses, you don't follow them through because you're worried about what people might think of you. And this is for you if you're a recovering people pleaser like I am, if you're a perfectionist, or you say yes out of fear. Now, you may be saying yes thinking that it's something that you want to do, but is it actually being driven by a deeper desire to be liked, or a deeper desire to be seen, or to feel worthy? I could go on that conversation. This is also for you if you felt a sense of resentment. You say yes, you mean no, and then you end up resenting yourself and the person. If you felt any obligation, or if you felt any heaviness in relationships or even work opportunities. Now, this is for you if you are ready to go next level magnetism. And this isn't about doing more, by the way. This is about you learning to become more in alignment energetically to your desires. So what we're going to do now is have a little chat about energetic integrity. When we agree to things out of, fear or guilt or obligation, not only do we betray our own essence, not only do we really abandon ourselves, but what we do is we are injecting that warped energy right through the energetic signature of our manifestation. So instead of becoming magnetic to the very thing that we want and we desire, we become magnets for misalignment. So let's think of examples. I could go on and on about this. It'd be interesting if you can think of any that you do, and let me know either on Instagram or email me, salarah@salarahstar.com. I'd love to know. But I find many people saying yes to friendship catch-ups or friends that they no longer really have resonance with, even though their energy feels drained every single time they leave. Or accepting business opportunities because you're scared that nothing else is going to come along, or you're scared that you're going to give a bad impression, or somebody's going to think bad of you if you don't say yes to something. So you kind of make yourself do things you don't really want to do. Also keeping connections just out of guilt, and not really out of a feeling of connectedness and joy. But you may also find that you prioritize someone else's comfort over your own. So there's many more examples that I can give, but this comes at a great cost to you, your manifestation practice, all the effort that you're putting into your practice, but also to your future. It comes at a great cost to your time, because not only are you spending time doing things that don't really light you up and you don't really want to do anyway, it's time that you could have spent doing something that lights you up and is in alignment with the dreams that you're building. And then it costs you energy, because you're expending energy on something you don't really want to do. You're expending energy on something that you end up feeling resentment around, and it just zaps your joy. It zaps your joy, your frequency lowers, and of course, what happens? You're not going to be a match for the manifestations that you are wanting to call in. Because when you say yes to things that don't light you up, you're diluting your signal, if you like, to the universe. And this is a really important point to remember. Now, it's not that you're doing this because you want to be a people pleaser or live life out of alignment. These are learned behaviors that you would have used as a way of getting your needs met when you were younger, and it's the only thing that you know. And sometimes we have this program running that is not helpful when it comes to what it is that we want to call in. So we do need to do some deeper digging and some deeper work. And my journey, I've spent many hours overriding old programs. I've spent many hours undoing and figuring out why I say yes to certain things, why I do certain things. And because of that, I've gone through a process of then making different choices, knowing that if I always do what I've always done, I'm going to always get what I've always got. And I don't want to get the same results, which means it's my responsibility to now do something differently. So I need to relearn the way that I'm showing up. Sometimes we can model ourselves on other people who have achieved what it is that we want to achieve. We can see the type of people they surround themselves with. We can see or look at the way that they hold themselves, the way that they talk, the different things that they believe. And it's not about copying someone else. It's about modeling someone else so that we can learn from those that have gone before us and are achieving the very thing that we want to achieve. We can learn from the way they show up in their strategies, coupled with reading and learning. I love reading. I love learning. I'm a bit of a self-help junkie, for want of a better word. But that's important because the program that I'm running now may not be supportive of the person that I am becoming. Therefore, just like we would download a new program on our iPhone or our computer, we need to do the same for us too. So it's important that we download information which is helping us to learn the pathway of the person that we are becoming. It's a bit like, I think it was Einstein that said, a problem can't be solved at the same level of thinking that created it. That's like me right now trying to solve my problems with no wisdom or information above and beyond what I already know, which has created everything that I already know. And it's just going to keep getting me the same results. So I need to get my head in the game, and I need to learn and submerge in information and follow people on social media or other platforms that have already achieved what it is that I want to achieve. And this is how you become effortlessly magnetic. So one way you can do this is you can just check in before you commit to anything. It doesn't mean to say that you're going to change this overnight, by the way. You may catch yourself still saying yes when you mean no, but at least you have an awareness around it now. At least you have an awareness in those moments that you are misaligned with your energy. And awareness is the key to change. It's the next step. Without awareness, we cannot change a single thing. So just notice, like, do I feel expanded? Do I feel excited? Do I want to shout from the rooftops about this? Do I want to hop, skip, and a jump to this opportunity? Or do I feel heavy? Do I feel tight? Do I feel resistant? Do I feel resentful? So even if your mind is trying to rationalize it, and this is really important, your mind is going to try and rationalize it the whole time. Remember, the law of attraction works on energy. It works on frequency. If it's a hell yeah in your body, you absolutely follow it. Now, of course, there's certain things in life that we do need to do and we have to do. Things like council tax, or, obviously some groups of people would argue this, but just as an example, road tax, or, paying your accountant or electricity bills. These are things that we kind of need to do. We can't, that contracts my energy, I'm not going to do that. There's certain things that we do just need to grip up because that's a part of life. But there are other areas that we absolutely have control over, whether we are aligned or misaligned with what it is that we want to call in and create in our life. Because your body, your energy, it always knows. So if your chest tightens, or you get that screwed up feeling in your stomach, or your stomach sinks and your energy dims, then that is a no. Even if it makes sense on paper, even if all the ducks look like they are lined up in a row, that is a no, an absolute no. And it takes quite a lot of courage then to follow through with that. So step one is just having an awareness around it. And if you keep having awarenesses around where you keep misaligning, at least it's going to show you where your energy is off and why you're not creating the life that you desire, why your manifestations aren't coming in the way that you want them to. So step one is having that awareness. At least we now know what we're working with. Of course, then it's going to be important. Work with a coach, a counselor, a mentor to help you overcome the fear of saying no when you mean no, or yes when you mean yes. Learn about boundaries, communication. This is where you get the opportunity to take your learning, your level of understanding to completely new levels. And it's exciting because you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner. And if your heart opens up and your body softens and you feel your nervous system relaxing and your creativity start to stir and that sense of excitement and that sense of expansiveness, then that is a yes. It's a firm and it's a solid yes. So remember, this isn't about being uncomfortable. It's never about being uncomfortable. Or is it? Growth is uncomfortable, and that is the simple truth. You know, when we're younger and we're kind of in our teenage years and we get all these growing pains, how are we going to get to the adult body without our younger body growing? And of course, with that, there are growing pains. And you know what? Like, sometimes when we are stretched, we grow. We don't achieve amazing things in life by not experiencing and not challenging ourselves and not feeling challenged and answering the call of challenge. So yes, growth is uncomfortable. But discomfort is going to absolutely expand you in so many ways. Pressure is going to drain you, and discomfort is going to expand you. So let's look a little bit about obligation versus alignment. This is an interesting conversation. I've lived my life in obligation up until a good few years ago. And when I started to understand this, I was in the awareness phase for quite a long time. And I was scared to start saying no when I meant no, or yes when I meant yes, for aforementioned reasons. Many of these examples I've given are pretty much my own examples. But too many of us are living a life out of alignment. Too many of us are draining our own energy by the very way that we are showing up in our life. Yet we blame outside of us. If that person didn't do this, or if only this, or if only... No. It's you. You are the key to your change. There's loads of doors waiting to open for you. And in your pocket, you have the key. You are the key. So saying yes to keep the peace creates feelings of heaviness, resentment, intolerance, impatience. So think of those words: resentment, intolerance, impatience, lower vibrational energy, attracting more of the same to you. So like me, I'm a recovering people pleaser. If you're still a people pleaser, you can also go into recovery. So, you know, me and many others have actually led the way, because people pleasing is not going to get you where you want to get to. It's just going to leave you in those lower rungs on the vibrational ladder. But you might say yes to avoid judgment. Oh, well, I really don't want them to think this of me, and I feel, I better do it really, because if I don't, and you go into that space, but actually energetically you feel completely misaligned with it, and it's like, if you could be brutally honest with yourself, is that a yes or is that a no? So think of something recent or something that's coming up, and you've noticed that you've said yes when you mean no, and just notice how that feels in your body. But also notice how it feels in your body when you do say no. It's actually really empowering. It's a bit weird to start with, and you're definitely going to second guess yourself for a bit, but you realize the cost if you don't train yourself to show up for yourself in this way. We end up having much healthier relationships with other people, by the way, when we do this. So some people will say, but this is selfish. It's actually more selfish if we don't do this, because if we are showing up in our life when we're saying yes when we mean no, and no when we mean whatever it might be, and then we have these feelings of resentment and impatience and intolerance, the people around us, they're not going to get the best version of us. They're going to get that wrung out, depleted, bitter, twisted version of us. So actually, this is not only a gift to you, but it's a gift to everybody around you as well. And plus, you never know, you might just inspire somebody to start living in their truth and living in alignment as well. You might start helping people to feel safe, to be true to themselves and who they are. There's nothing nicer than being around somebody who's really authentic. And there's nothing worse than being around somebody who you can just feel like there's this mask standing in the way, like you can't quite get to them and their heart and the truth and deep, loving, connected conversations, because they're not really showing you who they really are, because they've lived life so out of alignment. So saying yes to someone when your whole being is screaming no is also self-abandonment. And we wonder why we're in life where we don't feel seen, supported and heard, where we feel abandoned by our caregivers or friends or partners. It could very well be a mirror of where you are abandoning yourself. One of my great teachers, Yehuda, he said to me, if you spot it, it's because you've got it. Now that's difficult truth to hear, especially when it's negative traits that we are witnessing in someone else. But actually those are opportunities to see an aspect of ourselves which is holding ourselves back. So as uncomfortable as that can be, is there a mirror in your reality which is showing you to you through other people? That's another and very deep conversation, but definitely worth a mention. So we're looking at all of this through the lens of the law of attraction. And when you say yes out of fear, fear then becomes that active ingredient, that active vibration. You're feeding your dreams, of course, but you're feeding them with doubt. You're feeding them with lower, heavier vibrations, and you're just going to call in more of the same. This is why personal development, coaching, mentoring, whatever and whoever you feel drawn and attracted to at any given time is so important. So you can start working through the parts of you that are struggling in this kind of way. So instead of joyfully attracting aligned, high vibrational people and opportunities, you just attract obligation. And you attract more of the same. Because remember, what you give out, you get back. Why is this? Because your energy doesn't lie. Your yes has to be an honest, aligned, and congruent yes, or it becomes a no in disguise. And we do need to be careful of that. But with time and practice, you'll start to recognize and decipher some of these. And like I said, a lot of my own story is injected in this, some of my clients too. But for years I said yes to things because I thought that I should. And Louise Hay, one of the greatest teachers of all time, she basically said, should is shit. Excuse the French. Because it's basically implying that you either are wrong, you were wrong, or you're going to be wrong. Should is really heavy. So if I said to you, you really should kind of go to that work do, there's going to be a part of you that's going to be feeling, well, if I don't go, that must mean I'm bad or I'm wrong. Or, you really should tidy your room. Oh, gosh, does that mean that there's something wrong with me, that I haven't tidied my room? So should is an awful word. It's not something that I like at all because vibrationally it has very big implications. But many of us are shoulding on each other left, right, and center. But that's what I was like. I did everything because I thought I should. And Louise Hay did say to change that should to a could. Well, if I really wanted to, I could go to the work do. Well, why aren't you then? I don't really want to. And you kind of get to the truth rather than being bullied by yourself or feeling bullied by other people doing something you really don't want to do. So I've had so many friendships over the years that it's just kind of left me feeling heavy. And just noticing that actually when I'm around someone, they either lift my energy and inspire me or they drain my energy. Now, of course, friendships go through seasons, right? So you might have somebody who's going through a particularly challenging time in their life, and they are take responsibility and accountability and upbeat and connected and positive, but they just happen to be going through a bit of a challenging time. You can't just leave a friend through times, you're depleting my energy. If something's consistently depleting and you're noticing yourself consistently feeling certain feelings, then that's the message. So this is also about being a good friend to yourself and to other people, but noticing the difference of when something is consistently becoming draining. I had so many invitations that really I didn't really want to accept. Quite a few of them were work-related ones that I thought, well, if I say no to this, well, what if nothing else will come my way? And if I say no to this, what is that person going to think of me? They're going to X, Y, and Z. And if I say no to this, and I would just get so in my head over all of it that I'd end up then feeling depleted just because I was burning so much glucose in my brain worrying about it and end up really doing the thing I just didn't really want to do until I learned to say no. until I learned that certain opportunities, even though on the surface they look amazing, they didn't light me up. They didn't make me feel good. So becoming effortlessly magnetic is really about learning when your yes is a yes, when your no is a no, and how to learn to understand yourself, support yourself, be your best friend, be your best cheerleader. And we can only do that when we start paying attention and having increased awareness around these parts of our experience. I used to override these feelings inside of me because, like I said, I didn't want to disappoint anyone. I would bend and twist myself out of shape and into a version that I felt was more acceptable. Of course, people can feel energy. I wasn't kidding anyone else. I was kidding myself. It was me trying to convince myself that I was good enough, when in actual fact, I was good enough anyway. I didn't need to convince anyone. So I had to do a lot of work on that front too. So I've spent hours and hours and hours in personal growth and development. And I'm so grateful for that, because it has given me an attitude towards life which expands me and helps me grow and become a better version of myself. So even though some of the things that have taken me to my own personal development journey have been really challenging and brought me to my knees, I've unlocked something so special beyond all of it. It's only when I look back and I connect the dots, I realize that some of these situations that brought me to my knees were actually the making of me. So I had to learn that the most magnetic thing I could do was stop adding unnecessary things to my plate. I needed to clean up my energy. And sometimes that meant saying no, as uncomfortable as that was. It's got a lot easier now with practice. So saying no to actually, you know what, this doesn't work for me. I'm no longer available for this dynamic, this feeling of guilt or obligation. Or, you know, this opportunity isn't really in alignment for me right now. Or, you know what, I wish you well, but this connection isn't for me anymore. Is it hard? Yes. Is it freeing? Absolutely. Is it magnetic? Way more than my vision board ever was. So some common scenarios before I go that you might connect with, as well as the ones I've mentioned here, that kind of guilt-driven catch-up. You haven't seen somebody in months and you kind of don't really feel connected anymore, or you may still feel connected, but life has been a bit grueling and you're going through some of your own stuff, but you say yes out of guilt. And then you end up giving up some of your precious time, spending hours together in some cases, and just feeling drained and feeling self-critical, and then just feeling annoyed that you could have done something else with your time. And many of us are absolutely depleted energetically because we are saying yes when we mean no all over the place, and we're wondering why we've got no energy. We're wondering why our health suffers, our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health. We wonder why we don't feel alive and connected. It's because we are the ones depleting our own energy, yet we feel that it's life doing it to us or these other people doing it to us, and it's not. It's us allowing it to happen to ourselves. You may too have like a misaligned business offer. I've had a few over the years. Either well-paying or good opportunity arrives and it just feels off. I've had that with some of my clients in the past where there's not quite that match and something has felt a bit off, but I said yes because I really wanted to help them. And I overrode the red flags of how I'm feeling and a few other bits. And basically those situations have just ended up being super stressful. I've ended up feeling resentful. I've ended up overgiving. And I can't blame that other person because it was me that said yes to that in the first place. Also the social event conversation, right? So you agree to an event, even though your body is just craving rest, you're wrung out like a sponge, you're feeling tired, you're feeling so much pressure to show up. You want to make an impression. You want to be seen. You want to be seen as the person who shows up no matter what happens. Even if you're ill, you want to be seen as the one that will never let anybody else down. But what we do is we let ourselves down in the process. The whole time we're at these social events, our energy's off. We don't want to be there. We pray that we can collapse time in our mind. That's what I used to do. Like, I'd really like to learn how to collapse time right now so I can just be at home and I can just get on and do the things that I really want to do rather than being here. That in itself speaks volumes. So you'll know that if you're really loving and enjoying something, because you'll want to expand time. Like, just imagine that you had a superpower, and your superpower was expanding or contracting time. So you're going to know if your energy's off. If you are there and you say, right, I'm going to use my superpower now just to compress time. I want to compress it. I want to make this go quickly. I'm not enjoying it. That, my friends, is a no energy. These are the things that are going to keep you looping in an old reality you don't want to experience anymore. But if you had this superpower and you wanted to expand time and make like a day feel like a week, that is your yes. That is your alignment. So saying no, it can feel like a betrayal sometimes. But saying yes can feel like self-abandonment. So what do? This is family dynamics now, by the way. So you're expected to keep showing up in a family dynamic where your boundaries are just constantly crossed. You're constantly triggered. You're not enjoying it. No feels like a betrayal. Yes feels like self-abandonment. Do you relate to that? I think many of us do. Is it those occasions that you want to collapse or expand time? In fact, maybe you could keep a little note in your phone or on a physical piece of paper or something. You know what? I really enjoyed that. I wanted to expand time, and write down what that was. Oh, I didn't really enjoy that. I wanted to collapse time on that one. Write that down too. That is going to be one of the best exercises that you can do. Like, does this decision energize or deplete me? Do I want to expand or collapse time? Am I saying yes out of excitement and joy and expansiveness? Or am I saying yes because I'm scared if I say no, X, Y, and Z? So will this bring me closer to the future that I desire, or will this just keep me looping in this one that I'm really trying to escape from? So this is about learning to check your inner compass. It's not what somebody else wants you to do. It's what your future self would do, that person that you're becoming. Because here's the truth, your no is absolutely sacred and so important in creating the life that you desire. It's a boundary. It's a declaration that I'm ready for more. It's a portal to the next version, the next level of you. So every no that honors your energy, it makes space for something bigger, something brighter, and something way more aligned. And when you live from that place, you do not need to try. You do not need to try. You don't need to hustle. You don't need to push. You don't need to force, because your manifestations, you become an effortless match for them. And that's why I call it effortless magnetism. So if this episode landed for you, please share it with somebody who could really do with hearing this right now. If you enjoy these podcasts, it'd be really great if you could give me a review, whether you're whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple or whatever platform. If there's an opportunity just to leave a review there, that would be great. And remember, you can sign up at any point on my website to my newsletter, so you can get reminders of future podcasts and any other events that I may be running in the future too. In the meantime, it's been beautiful to be with you. Thank you so much for your time, and I really look forward to being back with you very soon. Take care for now.
Thanks for listening. Salarah Starre will be back next week with great insights into the law of attraction. In the meantime, please visit salarahstarre.com.